Finding a way to reduce stress in your life. What is stress? Stress is anything good or bad. Stress, we tend to think of stress as being a bad thing, but stress is anything that happens in our life, both good or bad. Having a child is a good thing, but it's also a stressful thing. Getting married is a good thing, but it's a stressful thing. Hitting the lottery is a good thing, but it's also a stressful thing. So stress is anything that happens in our life, good or bad. You have to monitor that. So making sure that you reduce the stress in your life. You have to reduce your response to things that happen in your life. So, and again, sometimes it's a bubble bath. Sometimes it's putting on some music and praying and listening to the Lord or laying before the Lord. Sometimes it's just taking 10 minutes just to be still. Okay, that's really important. Your mental health needs changes throughout your life. But being able to recognize and talk about mental health is very important. You have to be able to talk about your mental health. When we talk about death by suicide, for example, women um, tend to, while men commit suicide at a higher rate, women attempt suicide more. Okay, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. That women, we you look at depression, you look at suicide, you look at bipolar disorders, you look at PMS, you look at those four things in particular are things that particularly impact women, right? And when you look at that, you can ask yourself, okay, why is that? And then you can get the answer real quickly. Women, we have a lot of things that kind of weigh on us, right? We have, again, child rearing. Those of us who, you don't have any children, you have things that's going on with you physically, you have society expectations, you have the stress of your job. There are a lot of things that go along with for women. You have sexual abuse, you have trauma, you have just abuse on the job, for example, discrimination for being a woman. A lot of all of these things can bring about stressful situations, right? So it's really important that you have, and then of course menopause. So again, kind of keep that in mind. Pregnancy, death. Many of you are taking care of your children as well as your older parents. So you're kind of sandwiched in between. There's extra stress. So again, it's important for you to take care of your health. The importance of this particular short broadcast, it was actually supposed to be short, is number one, to wish you a happy Mother's Day. Two, to encourage all women to make sure you're getting your regular physical checkups. Three, to make sure you're mentally doing a checkup. Mentally, you're checking up yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on with you, right? Do you need to talk to someone? Do you need to make changes in your life? How can you simplify your life? What are the things that's causing you extra stress? How can you, be around, take care of yourself so you can be around longer for your children and for your grandchildren? Okay. But again, also it's important to know that there are different parts of our lives as women that are just going to be stressful. As I mentioned, pregnancy, I mentioned menopause, I mentioned just the PMS. I'm also mentioning having to take care of your children, especially if you're a single parent or even if you're not. Some of you are married, but your husbands or your situations where it feels like you're a single parent because you're doing most of the work, right? So again, in those types of situations, it can be stressful just being a woman. It can be stressful being a mother. So how are you managing your stress? It's important really to do a checkup. It's important to look in the mirror and to say, how are you managing the things that you have to manage? And are you managing them well? Are there better ways that you can reduce your stress? Some of you are going to school, working, and taking care of your children, right? I heard, gosh, I wish I could. I should have written it down. But some women have this comment to say that they're proud. You're proud that you're able to do everything. You're proud that you're able to, cook the bacon and put it in the pan. You're proud that you're able to, you're able to do it all yourself, type thing. But I want to let you know that was not how it's designed to be. You're doing that because you have no option. You're doing that because don't have a choice. But you were not designed to do everything by yourself. You were not designed to be the mother, father, the breadwinner, and everything all by yourself. Okay, you weren't designed to do that. Unfortunately, as a result of sin, not necessarily yours, but as a result of sin that has entered the world, things have kind of gotten away from God's original plan for man because it was not the original design. So, but that's where you are. And where you are now is that you're in a situation where you do everything because you have to do everything. Oh, you're strong because you have no choice but to be strong. If you're not strong, who's going to get the work done? So, we brag about that, but that's really not anything to brag about. We thank God that we're able to get it done. We thank God that we're able to do it because we have to do it. But no, you were never designed to do it all by yourself. And that's where you have to begin to realize, one, hey, I was never designed to do this all by myself. Number two, how can I simplify my life? And begin to ask the Holy Spirit, how can I simplify my life? How can I make things better? How can I make changes? How can I relieve some of the stress on myself? Because even though you think you're doing, and you are doing an excellent job, and you are getting everything done, but at what cost? Look at the physical costs. Look at your health costs. Look at the high rate of the fibroids, the high rate of cancer, the high rate of hypertension. Look at the obesity. Look at what's the impact of the children, of our children. Just look at what's happening in society. What is the cost? Okay, of you trying to do everything by yourself? Not trying, you're doing it because you have to. You're doing it, thank God, that God has given you the strength and the wisdom to do it. But make sure you include the Holy Spirit in it. As you say to yourself, hey, I'm all that in a bag of chips because I'm getting it done. Make sure you call on Jesus and begin to say, God, I thank you that you've given me the strength and the ability to do this. Help me that while I'm doing all of this by myself, that I know how to take care of myself, that I can be around for a long time. Because look at our health. Our health is showing us that it's not a good thing, mentally and psychologically, right? Some of us, we can't sleep well. You're snappy, right? You're always on the defensive. You're always anxious. You're always worried, right? You're drinking the alcohol. The things that we do to relax ourselves are not helpful things. Looking at the increase in pornography, all of this types of stuff that we think is freedom. It's nothing more than an we call it empty calorie. It's just something empty. It doesn't bring any real edification. All it does is kill the time. All it does is kind of make us feel good for a moment, right? But that's not what God has designed for us, and not what He really wants for us. Again, that doesn't mean He doesn't love us, but there's a better way, all right? So again, let the man help you. Let the father help you. If he's offering to help, let him help you. If someone else is offering to help you, and let me say this, if they are safe for your children. I'm not saying that turn your kids over to something, situation is not safe, but there are people around you who are safe that can help you, that can show you a better way. Okay. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Taking time to relax and talk about problems can help promote good mental health. Getting with a group of your friends and just talking about what's going on, just talking about it. But when you talk about it, okay, with the idea of having a strategy or having a plan, right? In the scripture, it talks about how the older women should work with the younger women. Unfortunately, we're in a society now when the older women want to be like the younger women. And then sometimes the younger women doesn't want to listen. But many times women, there are people in your circle who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. There are women in your circle, younger women, who've raised 5, 6 kids by themselves, and their kids now are all adults and they have grandkids, and they can offer you some advice and some support. Do you have to take it all? No, you don't have to take it all, but there are some things, there's some wisdom in it that you can use. Right. And then on the other hand, women who have already raised your children, you have already got the t-shirt, the grandmother t-shirt or whatever, there are ways that you can ask God that you can provide support in a way to the younger women who are raising their children that would not be seen as downgrading them, right? Or making them feel like they're doing everything wrong. So there's always a way to bring about understanding. But it was God's design for generation to generation, from the older to the younger, to pass information along that would make things better. Right. There are some women who are feeling like they are the only one. You're not women, younger women, and I mean younger, let's say teenagers, maybe in your 20s or 30s, you're not the only women that were raped, that were abused, that their father sexually abused them, that their brother abused them or pimped them out. You're not the only one that's raising a sick child or raising 5 or 6 kids. You're not the only one who has 8 kids and every one of your kids has a different father. You're not the only one in that boat. Okay. There are older women who've been through the same thing that you've been through and who have testimonies and who could offer you support. But unfortunately, sometimes, as an older person, we don't maybe say anything because, oh, they act like they don't want to listen. They act like they don't want to know. And it's something my pastor was saying. She said, you tell them anyway. You tell them anyway. And they may not act like, they may not hear it the first time, or they may not act like they want to hear it, but maybe at some point down the line, they might hear something. They might glean some wisdom from it. Okay. Because you just now became 20. All right. You turned 20 yesterday. All right. Or you turned 25 yesterday, or you just became 30. Okay. I've been 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay. I've been there. I've done it. I got the t-shirt. There's wisdom that we can share. But again, um, older women, and we pray and we ask God to show us how to share the wisdom in a way that it could be received. And as older women, younger women pray that God will give them the humbleness to receive it as well. Okay. Because again, this is how God has designed it. He wants it to be a situation where people are against each other, that the older women are against the younger women are against the older women, and everybody's left to their own devices. Because if that happens, then again, that allows the enemy to get in, that allows other thoughts and feelings of rejection and feelings that nobody care, and just all these types of bad behaviors to get in the way, and people start thinking things that's not true. And then the ultimate goal, as I said before, of the enemy is to kill, steal, and destroy. The ultimate goal of the enemy is to kill, steal, and destroy your ultimate destiny, what God has designed for you here on the earth, his ultimate plan. That's his goal. And whatever he can use, if he can use pornography, if he can use abuse, if he can use sexual abuse, emotional abuse, right? If he can use a wrong thought, a wrong behavior, if he can use feelings of rejection that cause you to draw back, if he can use, anything that's contrary to the word of God, he will use it. The media, music, whatever he can use to cause you to separate yourself from individuals that can help you, he will do that. Again, some ideas for better mental health. And I started this before we got cut off. Your family can help your mental health by supporting your life choices. And here's the thing, just because your family doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that they don't love you. As we said before, being able to sit with differences is a sign of a good emotional mental health. Okay, we should be able to sit with differences because we shouldn't agree. We don't have to agree with everything. It's okay that we don't agree. We shouldn't, right? Because we want to have different views and different ideas. So just because a person doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that they're haters. Just because a person is calling out a behavior, a fault, doesn't mean that they're against you. In fact, that could mean they love you. Because the fact that a person is running the risk to making you mad by sharing something with you that they know you're not going to like is more of an indicator that they love you. When a person doesn't, they don't say anything to you or they ignore you, that pretty much means they don't really think that much about you. So again, remember, families, just like you have issues, just like you were a child. The first time you were a child was when you were a child. The first time your mother was a mother was when she was a mother, right? The first time she raised you was the first time she raised you. Basically, she's learning just like you're learning. Your parents are learning as well. They made mistakes. They may not have said things that wasn't right. But as you get older, you know better, you do better. Now that you're older and you have your degree and you can see a better way things should be done, instead of talking about your mother and your grandmother or how they were haters and how they were so mean to you, maybe you should try to understand their perspective. Um, just real briefly, there was this situation where, and this is a church setting, where they were complaining about this particular church mother. And I didn't grow up in that particular kind of denomination where you have a church mother, so to speak, but they had a church mother, and they were talking about how the church mother was complaining about how the women were dressed. Okay, they felt that that was a how the woman was dressed, right? And they were talking about how, you know, that was, how that was so old fashioned. That was just a spirit of religion. That was a spirit of, just being mean. This really dogging out this older lady. These were younger people talking. Oh yeah, and how you can't go in there. You got to skirt be a certain way, and they're just so judgmental. And my thought process was, did you ever ask them, the older women, how they got to this point? Right? Because you're judging them based on where you are now, based on the understanding, the wisdom that you have. But think about it, a woman, okay, this would have happened, and as I'm thinking about the conversation, this woman, this mother, would have been maybe like 70 or 80. Okay, so which means she would have been a child, I don't know, in the 1940s, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, somewhere around there, right? Okay, what was going on for women at that time? Okay, at that time, for women who are maybe, let's say, 80 on up now, right? They didn't have the same freedom that you have. Women back then, the way they were growing up, all they knew was what they were new. They just knew that they needed to be holy. Many of them didn't know how to read, many or didn't read well, many or they learned from other people that didn't know how to read well, or maybe they just knew that, okay, this is how you were supposed to do it. And what they did, they gave you the best wisdom that they could give you. They gave you the best advice that they could give you. Button up, right? Well, button up. Well, why we got to button up? Button up because they didn't want you to be, maybe in their minds, a victim of abuse. Nowadays, we're saying, well, that's up to the man. If I want to dress how I want to dress, that's his problem. Okay, and that's some truth to that. No, I'm not debating that. What I'm trying to get people to understand. I'm a little off topic here, is to understand is that it's real easy to judge a person based on where you are now. When you judge based on where they were coming from, right? So again, the enemy desires to kill, steal, and destroy by bringing in that spirit of separation. Oh, they just judgmental. No, they did the best they could with what the information that they had. If now that you're older and you have come into a new understanding and realize that that information was not the best information, it doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't mean that they were judgmental. It means they were operating with all they knew. My question to you in 2022, with what you know about the gospel, what are you doing now? With what you know, with all the information that you have, with all the YouTube, the Facebook, the books, the reading, the medications, the doctors that you have, are you better off than they were? Okay, are you really better off? Okay, because when you look at the high crime rate, the high sexual abuse, when you look at the um, everything that's happening, are you really better off than they are? Okay, do you really have really a reason to talk? Are you really better off? Yeah, we may be freer. Our flesh is freer now, meaning we can do whatever we want, we can eat whatever we want, we can go wherever we want, we can dress whatever we want, in any way we want. But are we really better off? Okay, are we better off emotionally? Are we better off integrity wise? Are we better off faith wise? Are we better off you know are we better people morally? Are we better off? So again, when we talk about having family, when you decide to cut your family off, I'm cutting them off, are they too judgmental? How did they get to this point? Because sometimes by asking that question and understanding how they got to that point can help you to have a little compassion. to have a little mercy. Just like you want us to have mercy and compassion on you, maybe you should have mercy and compassion on that 80-year-old. Or they just the spirit of religion. No, it's no spirit at all. There's no spirit of religion. Just like you don't have a spirit of, I can say you have a spirit of non-religion, because the Word of God tells us, encourage us to be religious, right? But no, it's just that's just what they knew, right? So, with all you knew and all you know now, where's your spirit of compassion? Where's your understanding? Where's your ability to kind of sit with the differences to say, okay, yes, man, I get it. I understand. Because you know things are different. That's not going to work now, right? You know it's not going to work in 2022, but that person is almost 100 years old. Right? That's how it worked for them. That's all they know to tell you. Them telling you to button up your collar, or them telling you is really their love for you, because that's all they know how to show it. It's they're not trying to they're being so judgmental. No, you're taking a 2022 concept based on your feelings or your trauma, based on your feelings of rejection, unhealed areas, and you're projecting and thinking that's how the place that they're coming from, and that's not where they're coming from at all. So again, I just wanted to share that. So women, younger women, older women, again, we are all family, friends. We can support one another, and it's important to do that. Friends are the people you can count on in a crisis. They make you laugh and are there just to listen. Many times, your friends are the ones that will just listen to you and won't challenge you. Right? They just listen to you. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you just need to let off steam. You're not asking for a way out or any options. You just need someone to talk to. Family, many times, though, are the ones that will challenge you. And that's why we don't want to. They're just so judgmental. My family is so judgmental. No, your family is asking questions because their family know you and they love you. Your family, many times, has more of a investment than you in you than your family does, and then your friends do. Right? You don't think that's the case? If something were to happen to you and you were rushed to the hospital, or if you were in jail, I don't care how helpful you are. If you are under the age of 18, for example, the law is going to call your family, not your friends. Other relationships, pets can help you, can keep you company and give you comfort, but friends do not take the place of real relationships, of human relationships, because human relationships, pets pets don't talk, humans do. And sometimes you need humans to talk back to you. Many times when we're feeling sad, depressed, or anxious, when we're feeling a certain way, and with our thoughts, when we're sitting with our own thoughts, we can be thinking negatively, and our negative thoughts, all we're doing will justify our negative thoughts. When you're depressed and you're sad, depression and sadness can put us into this point where we have tunnel vision. And when you have tunnel vision, all you're thinking about is how bad things are and how things are not working out for you. And you just keep going in the cycle. But when you're with other people will challenge you to think something, to think differently. That's the reason, but some of you don't like that. That's why you were fighting other people. When someone is saying something, you will say, "Oh no, that's not way," because you don't understand. You don't understand. I wish it was that easy. No one's saying that getting better is easy. No one is saying that overcoming your mental health challenge is easy, or dealing with your trauma is going to go away overnight. But what you don't want to do is get to the point where you're so addicted to keeping your trauma. Some of you are so addicted to staying negative. You're so addicted to keeping your trauma, to holding on to it, that anytime someone shares something else, you don't want to hear it. Right? When someone shares with you, oh, they don't understand, they don't know what it's like. There's somebody out here who has gone through what you're gone through and worse. Right? The scripture lets us know there's no temptation that's taken us, that's going to come upon you, that's going to come upon me, that is not common. Okay, the enemy makes us think that we're the only one that feels this way, because if we think that we're the only ones who feels that way, then we're going to fight to keep our pain. We're going to fight to hold on to our pain because people don't understand, and that's not true. There are people out there who do. They don't understand what it's like to lose a child. There are people out there who lost two children. They don't know what it's like to lose two children. There are people out there who lost three kids. Oh, they don't know what it's like to lose 3 kids and a husband. There are people out there who lost 5 kids, a husband, grandparents. Their whole family was wiped out. So there are people out there. But see, the enemy have us doing that. Have us playing who's hurting the most, who's in pain the most, who had the, well, I was sexually assaulted 5 times. Well, this person was sexually assaulted at 10. I was sexually assaulted when I was 5. This person when I was 3. This person I can't remember. We're getting into this point where we want to have a badge to show who has the most pain, who's hurting the most. And if you don't understand my pain, you're a narcissist, or you're insensitive. You don't understand. There are people out there who've gone through, but the enemy will allow us to think that we're the only ones. And you're not the only ones. And that's the reason why you need people to challenge you, because people are going to challenge that thought. And we don't want that. We want, no, no, no. We want to fight it. No, when those thoughts come, when people come to challenge your thoughts, it's causing you to think differently. It's causing, if you will allow it, it's causing you to allow you to see that there is a way out of what you're going through if you will allow it to be so. Because if they can make it out, if they're able to proceed, and no one is saying it's easy, then there is a way out for you. Okay. Um, Exercising, going to community events. Some of you, all you do is go home, go to work, go to school, and that's it. You just go home, you come. I mean, you go to work, you come home. You go to work, you come home. You go to work, you go home. You don't have any activities. You don't do anything. You don't meet any people. You need to do that. And that's, you may say, well, I don't want to meet anybody. I just don't like going out. I don't like that. That's fine. But just know the life that you're living today, the choices that we make today is going to be is going to form the life that we're going to have later. So if you're withdrawing now, I don't want to be around people. I don't know, I don't like people are this. And that's true that not everyone is nice, but not everyone is mean. Everyone is these people are uncaring. They don't understand. That's not true. There are some people who do care. There are some people who are very nice, but they're gonna make challenge you, right? But that doesn't mean they don't love you, that they're narcissists, or they don't understand. They've been there where you are. But what happens is when you start making your life small now at 20, when you get 75, you're going to be by yourself wondering why you don't have any friends. You're going to be by yourself wondering why, trying to get people to help you, why you don't have people to, you know you have to pay people to do everything. You have to pay people to take you to the store. You have to pay people to be your friends. You have to pay people the online dating thing. You have to pay people uh, to come sit with you. Everything is a paid thing. You don't have anybody that comes around to see you just for you, because you cut them out of your life when you were 20 and your 30s. Now you're 80 and you don't have anybody. Right. So again, keep in mind, the life you have now is the foundation for the life you're going to have later. So if you're I just don't like going out. I just stay in my house all the time and I just order DoorDash. Okay. Just know when you get 80, that's the kind of life that you're going to have. Is that the kind of life that you want? Is that the kind of life that you want when you're 70? Man, just alone by yourself. And now, because you're thinking now, you can do it because you're younger. You have your strength, you have your physical ability, you have the ability to make choices. You don't know, you may not have that when you're 70 or 80, and you're assuming that when you're 20 that you're going to have the same strength. I'm telling you that you're not going to have the same physical strength that you have now in your 20s and 30s that you have in your 80s or 90s. You have to take into account health challenges that may come up. All of these things. So keep in mind, when you allow feelings of rejection, when you allow fear, embarrassment, trauma, unhealed trauma, unresolved issues to put your life in a box, or to box you up against a wall because you're afraid to go out. You're afraid to challenge your feelings. You're afraid, you want to hold on to your pain. Just keep in mind, that's the kind of life that you're going to have forever. Okay, if you don't make any changes. So you have to get out. You have to do little steps. No one said it's going to be easy, right? You have to, even if you go to the library and just walk around the library and say hi to one person, or even if you join a group, if and not just a group for everybody, for people that similar to you, but join a different group. Join, take up photography, take up swimming, take up, I don't know, something that you never thought about before. Just don't always do groups that put you in a situation where you're always by yourself. Join a running club. Join I don't know, a dance club where you have to have a partner. You want to get out there and do something. Volunteer at the Y, volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club. Do something with your life. Okay. um some of you might need to take some time off because you're always doing something. Okay. Recognizing signs that something is wrong. So again, mental illnesses, keep in mind trauma. Let me talk about trauma. Trauma is a terrible event in your life. It can be either physical or emotional, meaning it can happen to your body or your feelings. What brings about trauma? Domestic violence, child abuse, incest, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, natural disasters, war, serious accidents. All of this can kind of bring about trauma in your life, or a trauma response. Okay. And it's more common than we think. A lot of women are more likely to be raped, more likely to be in abusive situations, or to find themselves in situations. Okay. So again, it's important, if you're in this situation, to get help. It's important to come up with a plan. It's important to find a way out of the situation. And you can't always rely, if you're dealing with the physical abuse, you can't always rely on your abuser. You can't rely on your abuser to be the one to leave. You can't rely on your abuser to be the one to make the change. Someone said, well, why are you always talking about whether the woman has to be the one to leave? Or why don't we never tell the guy to leave? Why don't we ever tell the guy what he should do? Right. And I think people, we do that as well. But as we're working with the guy, the man who's doing the abusing, and trying to tell him to leave, it's important for you to think about what type of life do you want, right? And the choices that you have. Because one thing about abuse, it can make us feel like we have no choices, and we do have a choice. We do have options. It may not feel like, well, I don't have any finance, I don't have any money. There are options. But the more you talk to different people, the more you talk to people, engage with people in your community, you'll find that there are options that you may not ever thought of. Because again, you're not the only woman, the first woman that's in this situation that's ever been in a physical or a sexual situation, and you feel like you can't get out of. You're not the only one that's gone through this. There are other women out there. It's just a matter of connecting with them and coming up with other strategies and other resources. It's a matter of talking to different people, right? And coming up a way out, because there's always a way out of the situation that you're in. Because the problem is you're relying on him, is that it takes away your power. It further adds to your feelings of powerlessness and hopelessness. And I'm just responding to um, this thought process that someone made the comment, well, why don't she leave? And the response to that is, well, why don't you make him leave? And what I'm saying to you is, while that's a good comeback, that makes a lot of sense. The one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that you're the one that's being abused. You're the one that's physically being abused, that's sexually being abused. And you have to do what's right for you, because you put, again, all the responsibility and the onus for him to make the change. Then you're taking away your power. You have power in this situation. It doesn't seem like it, but you do. That goes back to having relationships. That goes back to making relationships, making friends. That goes back to talking to people, allowing people in on what you're going through. The more people you talk to about what you're going through and what you're dealing with, the more ideas and suggestions that you can get. Right now, you may not feel like, well, I don't have any money. I don't have a car. I don't drive. I'm in a rural area. I don't have a place to go. Well, if that is you, and you're listening to me via YouTube or Facebook or on our website, igbatt.com, then you're not as isolated as you may feel. Because if you're listening to me via social media, then there are social media outlets through chat that you can contact that will give you an option and a way out, or begin to work with you, right, around building the strength. Because again, every woman at the, one thing people say, leave. There are some of you women, I know you're not in a position, not just physically, but emotionally to leave. Right? We get that. We understand that. So I'm not saying to kind of feel bad. I don't want you to feel bad about it. But what I do want you to understand that you have more power than you think. Okay. Okay, I'm going to leave that here. Go on to our website. We do have some resources for women to help you far as engage with your mental health. Again, I apologize for the break in the broadcast. I'm not sure. Well, I know what happened. We have bad weather here. We're having some challenges with the stream. But again, please go on to our website, igbatt.com, under resources. And we do have some links and resources where you can get further information. Happy Mother's Day. Women, we need you to take care of yourselves. Mothers, we need you ladies to take care of yourself because your children need you. Number one, the takeaway from this is to make sure that you are taking care of your health physically as well as emotionally. Mothers in particular, make sure that you are seeing your doctor for your regular checkups, um, pap smears, mammograms, um, regular physical health, heart checkups, everything. Make sure you're getting yourself checked up, mom, because we need you around. Your children need you around for a long time. And again, mothers, women, we thank you for all that you do on the behalf of your children. We thank you for the sacrifices that you've made, the time that you take, the getting up when you don't feel like getting up, the um, cleaning runny noses, changing diapers, all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate you. And if you have not subscribed to our website, to our YouTube, please do so. Please subscribe. We are building our channel. And also, if you are in the Hyattsville, Maryland area, we are having a mental health event on the 21st. You can come and join us starting at 10 o'clock. It's only for a few hours. Come out, pick up some information, meet the rest of the team, ask some questions. If you need any information, further information, just please do so. So again, igbatt.com. God bless.